Ó dàbí jọ̀wọ́ bá mi lọ sí Power Bank. Bàbá mi lọ gba míìtì wa ń bẹ̀. Nǹkan.
Alex, where will I increase my volume?
Hello, sir. Do you want us to get out because this meeting is just started? We are.
Don't increase this. It's not audible. No debate.
It's like this on a network. It dey crack. Oh, move it.
Sẹ́ni bá ti answer mi.
They need to do.
So suddenly there was a kidnapping that happened. They were asking for 50 million naira.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry for the delay. I had some network issues. Do well to also send reminders to people so that there could be no numbers. Please confirm you can hear me. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Yes, you're
you.
loud and clear.
I hear you.
Mr. Lucky, are you on the call?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. Yeah, it's better now.
Mr. Lucky, please, are you on this call?
Àwọn ilé Igbo ní Igbo kíní Brazil.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Apologies once again, we're just starting a few minutes after 11. Secretary, please do well to send reminder emails to everybody so that there could be more people on this call. Please mute if you are not. Kindly mute your mic. Secretary, please help us mute everyone's mic.
We are not having a nice experience on this. People are
please mute your call, mute your device, Mr. Function, Mr. James. Secretariat, please help us mute everybody's mic. There is no speaking. Secretariat, please, are you there? Mr. Uti, please, are you there? Good morning, professional colleagues. Today's webinar session is from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICANN Western Zone, in collaboration with One Team Social Club of Nigeria, OTSCN. And today's topic before us is funding opportunities for small businesses by Professor H.T. Fashino, FCA, who is the main facilitator. And a soft skill speaker will come, soft skill expert, Mr. Mayor Oguike, who is taking us on soft skills from tax doer to problem solver, building an ownership mindset. It's always good for professionals to have that ownership mindset for work to be done effectively in the workplace. So we'll be starting with a short opening prayer. Mr. Lucky, please confirm that you are there, so that we can kick off this training for today. Okay, let me just pray. Father, we thank you for today's webinar session, ICANN in collaboration with OTSCN. As we start today's webinar, let it go well and let participants understand and gain knowledge going so that they can take it forward in society to be a better person. Thank you, Lord, for this session, and we hand it over to you. For this we pray, O Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen. We'll be moving to the national anthem and ICANN anthem briefly before we kick off. Please, sorry. I want to make sure people are hearing.
Chartered Accountant of Nigeria. Noble like and noble like and your accuracy we cherish. We uphold your integrity.
We'll be going to the national anthem.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians all and proud to serve our sovereign fatherland. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign. In peace or battle honored, and this we count as gain. To hang on to our children a banner without stain.
It's only the first anthem the Minister of Interior said we should be singing at events. Mr. Uti, please, you're supposed to give an opening remark. Please, can you unmute to speak? Mr. Uti, please, are you there? Okay, in order not to waste time, because the session is for 1 hour, so we need to keep to time as much as possible. We'll be bringing Professor Hassan Taiwo to the stage now. Let me just read his profile. Professor Hassan, please, are you there? Secretariat profile. All right. Professor Hassan Taiwo Fashino, who is taking us today as the main facilitator, graduated with a BSc Honors degree in accounting from the University of Ife in 1986. 1992 diet of ICANN final professional exam and was inducted as a fellow of the Institute in 2008. Other academic qualifications obtained include MBA in Finance from the University of Ibadan in 2004, Masters in Tech Management Science from LAUTECH Ogbomoso in 2009, and PhD Financial Management from the same university in 2014. Professor Fashino has over 35 publications in accounting, finance, and taxation, both locally and internationally. One of such papers, titled Evaluating the Administration of Nigerian Tax System, as a key contributor to VAT performance in Southwestern Nigeria. He got the Best Paper Award in 2016 from the International Academy of Science, Engineering, and Technology. Professor Fashino also got an award of membership of European Center for Research, Training and Development, UK in 2017. He has been a regular lead speaker and resource person at the public lecture titled You, Your Future as a Chartered Accountant, Catch Them Young program, organized by ICANN for secondary school students in Ogbomoso. He was also a member of the Mutual Cooperation with Tertiary Institution Agreement Committee of ICANN in 2018-2019 presidential year. He was also a member of the Professional Examination Committee in 2022 presidential year. He's presently a member of ICANN Quality Assurance Independent Invigilators for Professional Examination. Professor Fashino joined the service of Ladoke Akintola University of Technology in 2024 as a lecturer too, where he rose through the ranks and was pronounced a professor of accounting in 2024, which became effective from 2021. He has been the secretary and vice chairman, respectively, of Ogbomoso/Oyo and District Society of ICANN, and he was a pioneer chairman of Ogbomoso and District Society of ICANN. We have a very rich facilitator here with us, and then we know he's going to really do good with the topic funding opportunities for small businesses. Small businesses actually are always glad to hear funding opportunities so that they could scale up from being a MSME to being an SME and to being a medium and a large company. So it's good that this topic has come to us today. Please, Professor Fashino, confirm that you can speak. Please, are you on the call, Prof?
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Professor Fashino is on the line. Good morning. I think you can hear me. Good morning. I think you can hear me. I'm on the call now. Good morning. To move it around. Yes. Good morning.
So I can hear you. I can hear you, sir. I was
Yeah, you can hear me. Thank you very much.
Please, do you want to share your screen?
I'm on call. I can hear you too.
Sir, please, do you want to share your screen?
Yes.
Okay.
I will share it. I want to share it.
Okay, let me stop sharing. I've stopped sharing. You can go ahead, sir.
Okay.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Professor, sir.
All right. You're welcome to our webinar titled Funding Opportunities for Small Businesses in Nigeria. I am not taking for granted by not appreciating the opportunity given to me. By the way, the title of this webinar is Funding Opportunities for Small Businesses in Nigeria. Well, small and medium enterprises remains the backbone of the Nigerian economy. And when we are talking about SME, we are talking about businesses that are being run by in small parameters in terms of employment, number of employees, turnover, capital, as graded by SMEDA, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria. However, this SMEs contribute significantly to employment generation, economic growth, innovation, poverty reduction, and wealth creation. As important as they are, One of the greatest challenges that confront small businesses in Nigeria today is access to adequate funding. Many promising businesses struggle to survive due to insufficient capital, and some that are able to get some sufficient capital due to poor financial management, weak business structures, and lack of collateral, and limited understanding of the available funding opportunities. In today's competitive and evolving economic environment, entrepreneurs must move beyond what you can call having collaterals or relationship. So access to funding now is no longer based on this, but more significant is based on governance, business sustainability, financial records, compliance, and profitability. How do we understand business funding? The business funding refers to financial resources that are required to start, operate, sustain, or expand business venture. So funding for businesses may be needed for business startup, that is starting up a business, the working capital requirements, purchase of equipment and necessary assets, expansion of operations, product development, staff recruitment, technology deployment, inventory acquisition, marketing and distribution, research and innovation. For all these parameters, business funding is financial resources are actually required. Then the sources of funding can be categorized into two. We have the internal sources of funding. That one are internal to the business. Then we also have external sources. So let's start with the internal sources of funding. These are funds that are generated within the business or by the owner. For example, personal savings, retained earnings from previous efforts, then contributions from families and friends, operative contributions, business profits that are invested into operations. All these are what we call internal sources of funds for businesses. And all of these sources are also very important for small and medium-term enterprises. Then the external sources of funding that are readily available include bank loans, government intervention funds, grants, venture capital, angel investors, crowdfunding, development finance institutions, trade credits, private equity financing. So let's quickly explain some of these major funding opportunities for small businesses in Nigeria. One, the commercial bank loans. So the commercial banks provide loans and credit facilities to businesses for operational and expansion purposes. And when we are talking about commercial bank loans, the common types of bank facilities are: one, overdraft, when businesses are allowed to overdraw their accounts to a certain limit in order to be sure that no check of the bank or the business is returned unpaid. So then we have term loans. These are loans that have specific period for repayment. Asset financing. These are financing that requires by banks and financial institutions to acquire assets for the business. Then you have invoice discounting, where you sell goods, and since the repayments and you sell goods on credit and you want cash at any point in time, you can have these invoices discounted, and then the money is readily available for the business. Then trade finance, trade for either as buyers, as sellers of products and services. You can also have a trade finance. Then the working capital loans. These are basic facilities that are available for commercial banks loans. But for commercial banks loans, there are certain requirements that banks will normally request in small and medium enterprises to provide. One, registered business. Business must be registered. Must be registered by the Corporate Affairs Commission. There must be evidence of business operations so that it will not be a business that has stopped production or service. Then there must be collateral or security to guarantee the repayment of the loan, that if the loan is not repaid, that the security can be the other source that can be taken over by the banks. Then you must have, the businesses must have the tax identification number, business account statements, cash flow projection. What we mean by business account statement is that there must be you must keep the accounts of the business quite separate from your personal transactions. So cash flow projections, even when businesses are running profitably, cash can be a problem, and it is also a subject of that can make a company to wind up. So cash flow projection is very important, and even what you can call the regulatory authorities normally provide. We are always interested in the cash flow projections, then business plan and financial statements. Then commercial bank loans. When you are talking about commercial bank loans, there are advantages and challenges. Despite the fact that it is a very viable source of funding for SMEs. Some of the advantages includes access to substantial capital. Substantial amount of money can be accessed, and then structured repayment plan. There's always a structured repayment plan, that is a guideline for the repayment that must not be violated. Then build business credit profile. So the business profile of the business must actually be creditworthy. So the challenges that are normally faced when we are talking about commercial bank loans include high interest rates, because if there's any default, both the interest and the capital on the default date will be rolled over again, and interest will be charged on it. So there's always a high interest rate. Then the requirement for collateral, that is in case of default, if the bank have anything to lay their hands on. Then there is strict documentation process, because if it requires a legal way to recover the loan and the interest, then the documentation will be what the court will want to look at. So there is strict documentation process. Then the repayment pressure. There's always a pressure for repayment. Then when you look at the access to funds, the funds that are available through financial institutions, it's also necessary for us to look at government intervention funds. The Nigerian government, through several agencies, provides intervention funds and support programs that are targeted at small and medium enterprises. The basic government intervention funds are, one, we have the CBA intervention programs, like the agricultural finance schemes, the SME support programs, creative industry financing, youth entrepreneurship schemes. These are intervention programs that are moderated by the Central Bank of Nigeria as a government intervention fund. Then you have the Bank of Industry, it's also a government intervention fund. The Bank of Industry provides funding support for manufacturing business, agro-processing business, technology businesses, women-owned businesses, youth entrepreneurship businesses, so that they encourage the youth and women to go into small-scale businesses. So these are government, these are the Bank of Industry government intervention funds. Then you also have the Development Bank of Nigeria. It's also a government intervention fund. The Development Bank of Nigeria supports SMEs through participating financial institutions, capacity development, credit guarantees. So they do guarantees for credit for SMEs. And there's also what we call the SMEDAN programs. It's also a government intervention fund. Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, in capacity building the capacity of SMEs, business development support, where the business actually requires a lot of support in terms of development. Then the funding partnerships and entrepreneurial training. These are the SMEDAN programs, which are government intervention funds. We also have the government intervention fund through NASA. This is Nigeria incentive rate-based systems for agricultural loans support programs. So the NISA enhances access to agricultural financing through risk-sharing arrangements and credit support. Because agriculture is a highly risky business, and most of financial institutions runs away from such risky businesses because the agricultural production relies on the weather, which is not within the control of entrepreneurs. So in that regard, the NISA comes about as a government intervention funds, and they have a lot of advantages, though they have their challenges too. Some of the advantages are lower interest rates, longer repayment periods because of the farming seasons, then capacity building support, then sector-specific intervention, maybe in the area of agro-allied, in the area of pig farming, fish farming, so it's sector-specific intervention. Then, but the challenges are bureaucratic process, because there are a lot of bureaucracies involved. They have to inspect the farms, look at whatever facilities, the capacities, and everything that is involved in the agricultural business. Then there is delay in disbursement of funds by to the SMEs. Then there are stringent compliance requirements. Then there's always political and policy changes. So when those the government change their policy, and when the policy changes, and when government changes, policy may also change. But that does not remove the fact that it's a government intervention fund. Then another one is grants. Grants are funds provided to businesses without repayment obligations, usually to support innovation, development, social impact, youth empowerment, women entrepreneurship, agriculture, and technology, and even some other, what you can call technology-based small businesses, innovation-based small businesses, and businesses that are what you can call sustainable. So these grants, they are called grants because they are the provider of the grants do not expect the receiver of the grants, the SMEs, to repay the funds back. So the sources of some of the grants that we have are government agencies, international organizations, non-governmental organizations, development partners, corporate organizations, foundations. For example, some of the grant providers, the Tony Elumelu Foundation is a grant provider, Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, African Development Foundation, United States Agency for Industrial Development Programs, the UNDP initiatives, and African Union entrepreneurial programs. But the key features of the grants, they have specific characteristics. The key features are non-repayable. Grants are not repayable. They are not bound to be repaid. They are competitive application process because of the fact that it's not repayable. Then there is always a competitive application process. Then it's usually project-based. It's only projects that will serve what we can call, that will serve the direct need of the society. It requires accountability and reporting. Because it is for business owners, medium-term enterprises to enjoy grants, it must be that will actually add value to the society. So the common requirements are business proposal, there must be a sound business proposal, financial projections, social impact potential, because it's competitive. These requirements are very fundamental. Innovation and scalability. What we mean by scalability is the fact that even at any level of what you can call, at any level of demand, there will always be supply of such services, products and services. So then there's proper business registration. So the common mistakes that businesses make when they are applying for grants and normally makes the grants to fail include poor proposal rights. So the proposal must be very sound because it's a very competitive thing. And the proposal must be very sound and reliable. Then there is weak financial projection. If there is weak financial projections, the grants may be forfeited. There is lack of clarity in business model, and then the failure to meet application guidelines. There are specific application guidelines for these grant providers. So the guidelines for Tony Elumelu Foundation are quite different from that of Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, likewise that of African Development Foundation. So these the application guidelines must be met, is sacrosanct. Then we also have angel investors. Angel investors are just wealthy individuals who want to invest their personal funds into businesses that have a future, that are sustainable, in exchange for equity ownership. They want to invest their excess wealth into businesses where they can be equity owners for future returns. Such angel investors are normally interested in businesses that are innovative. They are innovative, quite unique, and it contributes and add value to, and it's also very profitable. Then it's high growth potential, or a strong management teams, and scalable business models. I know I've explained what scalable business model, what scalable businesses are. That these are businesses that will eventually go on and meet any demand, any level of demand. It won't be a situation whereby it will get to a level and it will not be available. Then the advantages and the challenges of these angel investors. Advantages, let's look at the advantages. They have access to capital because they are wealthy people that want to be equity owners. Then you have mentorship opportunities, then business network access, and there's strategic guidance. But the challenges are shared ownership. You know, when you share ownership, owners are different. The wealth investors, the angel investors are not doing it as a charitable organization. They want to be part owner, and they want to bring in their experience into it. Then investor influence in decision making. So the investor have their influence. Their heart is always where their investments are. Then there's high performance expectation. So they expect that the performance will be very high, so that it will generate more wealth, to generate more profits, and then the angel investors will have something that will bring up their wealth. Then we also have venture capital funding. Venture capital firms invest in high potential businesses, especially startups with scalability prospects. So it's only businesses that have scalability prospects, and these investors focus on technology-driven businesses, market expansion potential, revenue growth opportunities. And venture capital funding, what venture capitalists look for are strong business model. Strong business model. They want a business model that is very strong, then clear revenue strategy, competent management team, financial discipline, market opportunity, growth potentials. And the challenges are loss of partial ownership because they invest, where they have their investment, they don't want to lose their money. Then they want to be part owners. They will have their eyes and their hearts in that business. So intense due diligence process and high growth expectation. Then we also have microfinance banks and cooperative societies. Microfinance institutions and cooperative societies provide funding support to small businesses, especially micro and informal enterprises. You know that when you're talking about small, medium enterprises, you have micro businesses, depending on the capital, maybe because capital base is less than 5 million. You can call that one micro, it is between 5 million and according to classification of SMEDA, 5 to 50 million can pay small enterprises, then above 50 million to 500 million can call the. So in the real sense of before, the microfinance institutions and cooperative societies provided funding support to all these small businesses, especially the micro and informal type. And the microfinance banks and cooperative societies funds have a lot of advantages. Then they also have challenges. The advantages are easier access to funds. There is easier access to funds. There's minimal collateral requirements. You know, microfinance banks are closer to the society. And then flexible repayment terms, then community support structure. But the challenges, they have limited loan sizes, smaller one, but the interest is always very high in some cases. Then there is short repayment period. Then they also have what we call crowdfunding. When we are talking about crowdfunding, it involves when you raise small amount of money from a large number of people, especially through online platform, that is what we call crowdfunding, small amount of money, but from a larger number of people in the site. Then you also have different types of crowdfunding. There are some that are donation-based crowdfunding. So if they think of, but to say that we don't have donation-based crowdfunding, there are donation-based crowdfunding for small businesses. Because some businesses, what the crowd require is the fact that that business must be the type that is very essential for the society at that point in time. So there is donation-based crowdfunding, there is equity crowdfunding. So those who actually contribute will eventually be equity holders in the business. Then you also have debt crowdfunding and reward-based crowdfunding. When you are saying debt crowdfunding, it means it is to be repaid. And reward-based crowdfunding also, that the amount that is invested will be the reward from it will be based on the amount that is actually invested in reward-based crowdfunding. So crowdfunding also has specific benefits. You have access to global investors. There is public visibility for business. Since it's on network platforms, then and your internet platforms, there is visibility. Then there is alternative. It's also an alternative funding route. But the basic challenges are for crowdfunding to be used or to be used, it requires strong online presence for such SMEs. Then is in a competitive environment, you have to convince the crowd of yours and the regulatory concerns. You have to be considerate of the regulatory authorities. So crowdfunding. So having understood both the internal sources of fund for small and medium enterprises, it is also necessary for us to look at some of the things that disallow businesses to secure funding, which is lack of preparation. If you fail to prepare, you are preparing to fail. So no investor or lender wants to invest in a disorganized business. So let's quickly look at planning a business to accessing funding, because that's one of the main reasons why some businesses are not enjoying so the proper business registration, there must be proper business registration. So businesses should register with the Corporate Affairs Commission. Such a yearly business that wants to enjoy some of these facilities must obtain a tax identification number. It must maintain regulatory compliance. If you don't comply with the regulations, then it will be very difficult for you to actually make yourself known to the public. So these are the source businesses, some businesses that want to enjoy all those facilities that I've mentioned earlier on must have proper business registration. They must have good financial record keeping. So such businesses must maintain income record, they must have expense records, cash flow statement, sales report, payroll report, inventory records, and financial statements. Then they must have a strong business plan. So the business plan must contain what you can call executive summary of the objects of the business. Then the risk assessment, the description of the business, the analysis of the market analysis. There will be an executive summary of the business. What is the object of the business? And then business description. Then market analysis, the share of the market. What is the business providing to the market? What is the share of the market? Then competitive analysis. How will it relate with competitors in the market? Then the marketing strategy, operational plan, financial projections, and the risk assessment. Creditworthiness and financial discipline. So business should be creditworthy and they must have financial discipline. They must avoid unnecessary debts. They must maintain good banking records. They must separate business and personal finances. They must build healthy cash flow patterns, because lack of cash flow, inability to meet your obligations as and when due is a ground for winding up. So it must build a healthy cash flow pattern. Then corporate governance and internal control. Investors will prefer businesses that have a clear management structure. Then the proper authorization systems, internal controls, and transparency and accountability. Then the financial documents that are required by funders. Most of the funders require a lot of financial documents, and that's why most of the funding application fail. And some of these businesses think that these capitals are not available in the market. They are actually available, both the internal sources and the external sources. But the funding application failed because business cannot provide proper financial documentation, such as business registration documents, tax clearance certificates, bank statements, financial statements, cash flow projection, business plan, budget forecast, management accounts, inventory reports, and payroll reports. When all these documents are readily available, funding or an application, it is very unlikely that the funding application will fail. Then the business proposal. A business proposal is one of the most important documents in securing funding. So how do we write a good business proposal? It must be clear and concise. We must avoid unnecessary complexity. We must define the problem. We must explain the market need your business is solving. What is your business solving in the market? What is the added value? You must define it. Then you must explain the solution. Clearly provide what your product will achieve or service. Then you show market potential of your product or service. Provide evidence of demand and opportunity. Then include financial projections like revenue, profitability, cash flow, return on investment. Then state funding requirements clearly. State funding requirements clearly. Specify amount required, purpose of funds, and expected outcome. Demonstrate capacity. Show evidence that the business can execute the proposed plan successfully. So the more common reason why funding application fail for many businesses are poor financial records, weak business structure, lack of visibility, unrealistic projections, inadequate documentation, lack of transparency, poor credit history, weak management team, failure to comply with application guidelines. So when you are building sustainable financial strategies, you can, it will help enhance assessing funding. So assessing funding is not enough. Business must also manage the fund effectively. So every business must operate within a realistic, sustainable budget. Then the cash flow management. Profit does not always mean cash availability. Businesses must monitor cash inflows, cash outflows, and working capital. Then there must be cost control. Businesses should minimize waste and unnecessary expenditure. In a traditional accounting setup, profit is obtained when you remove the cost from the income derived from sales. So even when the income sales is stagnant and you reduce the cost, profit will still be right. So cost control is also very important. So business will maintain that cost control. Then they must invest in technology, do a cost benefit analysis. Automation normally improves accuracy, efficiency, reporting, and decision making, but there must be a cost benefit analysis of this investment. Then there must be audit financial review. So business should regularly analyze sales performance, profitability, operational efficiency, financial sustainability. Then finally, the role of accountants in business funding. The professional accountant plays strategic roles in helping businesses secure funding. Areas of support include the preparation of financial statements, financial advisory services, business restructuring, tax planning and compliance, financial projections, internal control system, business evaluation, investment readiness assessment, accounting system automation. So any business that lacks proper accounting records and governance structure, we have a lower chance of attracting funding. So and that is where the accountants comes in the business funding structure. So the practical recommendation for entrepreneurs is to improve the access to funding. Entrepreneurs should formalize their businesses. They should maintain proper accounting records, separate personal and business finances, build strong business structures, invest in digital accounting systems, develop realistic business plan, improve financial literacy, maintain tax compliance, build credibility with lenders, focus on sustainability and profitability. These are practical recommendations for entrepreneurs. And conclusively, funding is a major driver of business growth and sustainability. However, access to funding is not based on desire alone. We must work for it. It's largely on business structure, financial discipline, transparency, governance, and preparedness. And we're in a competitive business environment. So you must position your business to become investment ready by maintaining proper records, embrace technology, strengthen your internal controls, and develop viable business strategy. And entrepreneurs must therefore see funding not merely as a money that is received and to be spent, but as a responsibility that requires accountability, discipline, and strategic management. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor
Akemi.
Hassan Fashino. We appreciate your elaborate discourse. We'll be taking questions after the second section so that we don't interrupt the flow. We should end around 12:30. Please let me reach out to the second facilitator. And Mr. Oguike, you've confirmed that you are here, right? Please give him host permission. Secretariat. Thank you so much once again, Professor Hassan. We appreciate your paper presentation. And Professor Hassan, please, you can stop sharing your screen. So I can still see your screen also. So I'll be reading the profile. I'll be reading Mr. Oguike's Lioness profile before he comes on board. Thank you. The second paper presentation will be taking us on from tax doer to having ownership mindset. And his name is Mr. Lionel Major T. Oguike. He's a dynamic and result-oriented professional with over 15 years of extensive experience in just give me a second. He has over 15 years of extensive experience in business development, administration, and client relationship management, operations, coordination, diplomatic engagement, and strategic corporate management across diverse industries, including banking, hospitality, international relations, and investment services. He's highly skilled in stakeholders management, customer engagement. He demonstrates strong competence in managing executive level relationship, coordination, high impact projects, and driving organizational growth through innovative and service oriented solutions. He has exceptional leadership, communication, and negotiation skills. Mr. Oguike, please, you're welcome on board so that we don't take much of participants' time. Please, will you be sharing your screen? Please confirm you can hear me, Mr. Oguike.
Hello, yes, I can hear you good.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Will you be sharing your screen, please, with your voice to speak out? Please, will you be sharing your screen? I should share from my end.
Yeah, I'll be sharing my screen.
All right, so I'll stop sharing.
Yeah.
Please, you have the
Can you
floor.
hear-
Good afternoon. Yes.
Good
we can
afternoon,
hear you.
everyone.
You may likely have to increase your volume. It's not that sharp. Okay.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Is it better? Is it better now?
If you can still take it up a bit.
Okay. Maybe I should just disconnect my headphones. Just give me.
if you're using an earpiece, you could remove it. Sometimes earpiece doesn't help.
Yeah.
His topic is from tax doer to problem solver, building an ownership mindset. Please, you have the floor. Thank you.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes, it's better now. You can share your screen.
Okay. I'm just trying to see if I can share my screen.
Thank you, Prof, for keeping to time. Been able to save us the time we lost. We'll share.
I'm trying to get the place where to share it. It's not clear.
Okay, let me
Okay, you can just share it from your side, Mrs. Onini, please.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, better. All right. Can you hear me? Can I get
Yes, we can hear you, please.
Okay, all right. So thank you very much. I want to thank each and every one of you for your time. I also want to thank the previous speaker for a well elaborated presentation. Like Mrs. Onini has mentioned, my name is Lionel Mayo Gike, and I've been into business development, negotiation skills in the last 12 to 15 years. So today we'll be talking about this topic, this soft skill, which is very important, and it's something that most of us have not grasped, like in the workplace, okay? And even in your business, that is moving from, a tax doer to a problem solver, which is very important when it comes to, work, when it comes to work environment and in the things you do. Moving from a tax doer to a problem solver is important. It's not just enough to do tax, but it's important for you to also solve problems with what you do. So our first slide here says the evaluation of the modern professional. So who is a tax doer? A tax doer basically is somebody who focuses on what and how and narrows down to basically what he or she has been told to do. So for example, in offices or in places of work where you are at different points in time, you're given a task to do. And that task you're given to do is in line with the organization's objectives. But the task doesn't stop there. There is, going from the task doer to being a problem solver. From the picture you can see here, you see the task doer focuses on the pieces. It's trying to solve a puzzle here. And the problem solver is looking at the bigger picture. So the tax doer basically focuses on what and how within the narrow boundaries, passive execution and assigned duties. Okay, so he doesn't think out of the box. Basically, a tax doer will not think out of. He just wants to know to do his duty, do whatever he has called to be. To do and go home. Like they say, come to work, get paid. Come to work, do your work, get paid, and go home. It's not just that. If you want to grow in the ladder of an organization and grow to a level to which it matters, you have to leave the box of a tax doer to a problem solver. I've written here that the problem solver focuses on why and impact across the organization, strategic contribution and active ownership, which is very important. Your contributions to solving a problem, not just doing the tax alone, but making sure that at the end of the day, the problem is solved. Because if you do a tax, you can do a tax, and at the end of the day, we still have loopholes to where the problem needs to be solved. And if you have done your tax and don't think across board or think beyond the box of the tax doer, you can't get to the level of a problem solver. The shift here is moving from a passive execution to active ownership and strategic contribution to company's mission. Okay, so strategic contribution, and strategic contribution cannot take place if you are passive, tax doer, if you are only focused on that tax. All right, let me not overflog this slide. Can we go to the next slide, please? All right, so defining the ownership mindset. So don't forget, we're talking about, being from a tax doer to being a problem solver. So being a problem solver, you must have that ownership mindset. Is basically, owning the business or owning your work like as though, it is yours, because it is yours. You're owning the business or owning your work as though it is yours, as though you're like the CEO of that work. You have fired the CEO in your mind, but you are owning this work or this job or this responsibility or this. What defines the ownership mentality? The first thing that defines the ownership mentality is your personal accountability. Very important. Your personal accountability in your work, in what you do. Okay, so you're being as a tax doer is not a wrong thing. It's not a bad thing, but you have to graduate from being a tax doer to owning, okay, to a problem solver. And the first step you need to take is to own, accountability, taking full responsibility for the quality and outcome of your work. Taking full responsibility for what? The outcome, the quality and the outcome of your work, regardless of the circumstances. So being a tax doer, like I said, is not the wrong thing. It's not a bad thing. But at different times when you are assigned a tax, and then maybe probably the tax didn't come out so well, do you own responsibility? Do you take responsibility of that work? Do you take accountability of that work that has been done? Because once you do that, automatically you've passed the stage. All right. So like, like it said, in the books, that failure is also a part of success. Those who are afraid to fail will.
Please, we can't hear you. Sorry, we can't hear you. Sorry, please, we have lost you. We can't hear you.
Yes, sorry. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, please, we can. You can continue.
Yeah, I think it was the network. Sorry about that. Okay, so like I was saying, having that ownership mindset, personal accountability, taking full responsibility. Then the next point here talks about investment in success. All right, feeling a genuine stake in the organization's long-term objectives and future growth. Okay, so having genuine stake is very important in organizations' objectives and the future growth of that organization. So it's not just enough to say, okay, you're coming to work, I'm coming to do my responsibility. I'm coming to fix up what, I've been told to do. But it's important for you to have a stake in it. Having a stake in it is where you bring in your ideas, where you bring in your initiatives, where you bring in your innovative thoughts to the table to be able to, carry the organization from where they are to where they ought to be. Because there's a place called there. There is a place called there, and that place, you will have to follow it through process. And we will need a lot of, doers. We'll need a lot of those who are problem solvers to be able to carry the organization from where it is to where it's supposed to be. So you need to be a stakeholder. Now, let me not overflog that point. The next point, proactive engagement, very important. Proactive engagement, identifying potential issues before escalating, before they escalate, and proposing valuable solutions. All right, so that is also very key. Identifying the issues. There's a task given to you in your department. There's a work to be done. You identify the issue, and and escalate it and propose valuable solutions. It's not just bringing in the problems alone. For example, in the times I've worked in the past, where my boss told me to go and make a meeting, have a meeting somewhere, all right, with particular stakeholders. We were into mini grids and grid arrangement, the solar electrification agency. So I was given a task to put up the appointment with the procurement director. I knew that meeting him is going to take a lot of bottlenecks. All right. So the night before, or the day before the appointment, for me to go and meet him, I went back and drew up my plan. And, in my mind, I had already envisaged the bottlenecks, the protocols to see him, why do you want to see him, and all those things. I envisaged it. And I also brought up a solution and took it up to my boss and told me, see, this is the things we're going to encounter to be able to meet this man, because we're meeting him for the first time. We've not had a relationship with him. So what I'm trying to say here is that I didn't just bring in the problem, but I also, proposed a solution to him. And at the end of the day, he was happy. So ownership is not just a role, all right? It's not just a role, but it's a commitment to excellence and impact. It's a commitment to what? To excellence and impact. So it's important for us to know that at every point in time, we can, grow from the tax doer to becoming the, problem solver. So next slide, the tax doer's trap. So let me quickly talk about this. You can see somebody in the box in his office. He is actually within his own space. He's not mingling with his, with his fellow colleagues. He's missing the opportunities, the growth, the collaboration, the impact, and the freedom he's supposed to get. So he's somebody who's just, like I said, like it's written here, solid thinker, who is just within his own space, operating with a narrow boundary and ignoring the borders, the broader organizational impact. So if you are a tax doer, that is the trap you get into. You are not able to move out. You're not able to air your ideas. You're not able to air your initiatives, and thereby creating the organizational impact that is needed. I know many of us that when we go into a new space or new organization, you try to mind your business and all of that. No, that is okay, but you don't stay there for too long, all right? You have to come out of your box. And because I know people usually, are brilliant. People are given, by the reason of exposure, people have ideas they want to share, but sometimes you say, okay, if I share this idea, how would they take it? You just want to wait to see how is the boss's reaction, what is his character like and all, which is really good. But it's more important for you. It's more important for you to be, to come out of that box and not just keep ideas to yourself. The next point here, reactive mode. That's the tax doer's trap. Waiting for instructions instead of anticipating needs and taking initiatives. Waiting for instructions. You don't just wait for instructions. You anticipate what is to be done. Like I just mentioned in my earlier example, I had to meet with this procurement manager and I anticipated what are the barriers I'm going to encounter? What are the things I'm going to encounter and how I'm going to surmount them? Then if I need the assistance of my boss, as the case may be, I can always bring him in. Then when he wants to come in, when you ask him for his assistance, he will know that, yes, you've already done your homework before asking him for his assistance. But when you come to the boss just with the problem alone, he will think that you're not thinking, you're not thinking beyond the box. You're not thinking with your mind to see possible solutions. The next point here, limited growth. That's the tax doer's trap. You're being scrutinized in a particular routine that fails to develop critical thinking and leadership skills. All right. So because you are within your box, you are not, intermingling with fellow staff or probably in meetings, checking outcome of meetings with fellow staffs, sharing ideas. You are only limiting your growth because when you share ideas, you only get to learn more and there's more growth. All right, let's go to next slide, please. Yeah, characteristics of a problem solver. Number one, root cause analysis. This is very important. So if you want to be a problem solver, you begin to find the problem from its root. Root cause analysis, the first thing I mentioned here, digging deep to identify the core issues rather than just treating the symptoms. Very important. Digging deep to do what? To identify core issues. So if there's an issue, which means there is a root cause. So treating the symptom is not just enough. For example, we all, at some time or the other suffer malaria, right? So before the symptom comes up, like for me now, if I just feel my body is getting hot, I'm just feeling feverish, the next thing I want to go is to take paracetamol real quick, because I want my day, to be running. I want activities to be going for me. I'm only treating the symptom. I'm not treating the root cause. The root cause for me is just to take my time off of 3 or 4 days a week and take my malaria drugs and rest. That is treating the root cause and not the symptom. All right. So it's very important that when at time to time situations arise in your department, in your organization, and there's a meeting that is called, oh, how do we solve this? It is important for you to, bring up contributions that deal with the root cause. Let me not overflog that. The next point, strategic alignment, understanding how individual tasks contribute to organization's broader mission. You understand how individual tasks. So as a task doer, you understand your role and how it contributes. So a task doer, to be able to, like I said, move from there to becoming a problem solver, you are aligning yourself with organization's broader mission, because every joint supplies. Everything you are doing as a task, as your role in an organization,